I would want you to break the entire concept of how LLM works.
Almost all the chatbots today are powered by something called LLMs, which are large language models. After every sentence, there's like a probability that some word is more probable than the other. And this is basically just how like large language models work. You're going to try and predict the next word in every sentence, and you're going to try the best to do that. If you just teach it with that, you get something which becomes the chatbots that everybody interacts with.
What's your approach of solving the unsolvables?
First of all, if a problem is truly unsolvable, the best thing you can do is try figuring out what paths are even possible and like what is the main blocker to each one of them, and then trying to place a bet on one of them.
What kind of jobs do you think AI will eliminate, and what type of jobs that will grow with AI?
Call centers and like a lot of IT jobs, I think they are at risk, but at the same time, creative jobs are going to get a lot easier. Design and marketing and so on, they're going to get a lot easier. Software engineer and computer science, the jobs, I think they will actually increase as well.
So, Archit, it has been a pleasant evening.
Yeah, it has been.
So, I'll begin by asking a very simple question. Who is Archit? Like how you landed up at IIT and then you went on for Stanford and now you're working at Google in the Gemini. What's your story?
First of all, thank you for having me here. This is a very pleasant evening and a very nice audience as well. Um, I'm a simple boy from Amritsar, and I have been on a very like long journey from here. I first went to Kanpur. I did my bachelor's there in electrical engineering. I was always very interested in math. I always like thinking, "Oh, how do we build these things? How do we make world better?" So that's why I was always attracted to engineering. I was always like math. So that's why I went to like IIT Kanpur, did some engineering there. And slowly I started getting interested in, now it's a very, very hyped thing. AI is so hyped. But like I started getting interested back in 2016. So that's when I started like looking into, oh, what can I do here? And that led me to US. I started working in Google Brain, which was one of the earliest groups to do artificial intelligence research. I spent 2 years there, and then I decided I wanted to go deeper. I decided like I want to spend time doing research, understanding like how these systems, how can we push them forward, and that's why I decided to go to Stanford, where I did my PhD in computer science. And yeah, it's been a great journey. I am now working in Google DeepMind. It's one of the best, if not the best, places to do AI research. And yeah, if you've used Gemini, I work on the team which builds Gemini. So yeah.
Interesting, interesting. So, yeah. So, you mentioned that you went to Stanford specifically because you wanted to go deeper into the
Yeah.
concepts of artificial intelligence. How is Stanford, the experience of Stanford, different than any other university in US? Because many people from India go to US for their masters, and many of them actually go in for comp science, right?
Yeah.
So, how is Stanford different than any other institute in US?
Well, one biggest difference is that every professor has their own startup there. So like it's one of the few places where the students are like running the research lab and the professors are out there doing startups. This is mostly a joke. But I think like one thing is like the students have a very high degree of independence. The professors, the environment that you get in Stanford is like unmatched. It both has like a very high standard for technical excellence, but people want to solve real world problems.
Okay.
So the goal is to like eventually take the technology, take it out to people, and it's been home to so many technology companies over the years. So there's a whole tradition of people who like leave and build their companies and take the technology from like the small Stanford University to the entire world. So yeah.
And how much role the location of Stanford in the heart of tech sector of US plays in, like the locational advantage of Stanford?
Oh yeah, it is so important because if you look at the area of the Bay Area, like everybody from like engineers to founders to venture capital to really ambitious students. They're all situated within like this 50-mile area around Stanford. So that helps a lot. Yeah.
So I often, tell my students that if you're in com science, you need to go to Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And specifically, if you're going into Silicon Valley, the Bay Area is the area where you have to really,
Yeah.
where everything great is happening
Yeah.
in and around. So just you were already at an IIT, and for most of the Indian students, like getting into an IIT is like the deal of the lifetime. Like they have achieved something in their life once they get into an IIT. So what was that turning point because of which you decided ki, because even IITs are doing some basic research in AI.
Yeah.
So what was that turning point you decided that no, I'm gonna apply for a master's and I'm gonna go for my education in Stanford. What was that precise motivation and turning point?
So during IIT, like I started doing some research in IIT itself, and like I said, there's some degree of basic research. I think our educational institutions are not funded to the same degree that they are in the US. So I spent one internship in Montreal,
Okay.
which at the time was like a big hub for artificial intelligence research. And I kind of realized at that point that like the way they are thinking of the problems, the amount of resources, and how much they are pushing the field forward is not the same. Like, so I decided like if I want to like achieve the same technical excellence, I need to be in a certain place. And that was the turning point for me, that I said like I like doing this research and I want to like go there.
Interesting. You also mentioned that you wanted to solve the problems, and the culture of Stanford is that every student is more or less, operating independently, and then they are trying to solve real world
Yeah.
problems, right? So when it comes to problem solving, like even when we are doing our own business, so I'm an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, so we often come across problems which sometimes appear to be unsolvable.
Hmm.
So what's your approach of solving the unsolvables?
I think it's very important to like, first of all, if a problem is truly unsolvable, like you can, all you can, the best thing you can do is try. But I think it's very important to identify like what is like, sometimes like you don't even stop to analyze like, okay, why is this problem unsolvable? And maybe like sometimes you realize like, oh, I need more capital, or maybe I just need to get the word of mouth out. So think figuring out like what paths are even possible, and like what is the main blocker to each one of them, and then trying to place a bet on one of them, I think to me is the
So
strategy.
if you're trying to unlock, as you mentioned, that you're looking out that what path can help me solve the
Yeah.
problem. If you're trying to unlock a problem, or if you're trying to understand that what will be the solution of this problem,
Mm-hmm.
how do you actually approach the problem? Like, do you read the literature in terms of research paper, or do you go and talk out with people, or do you, or like, what's your algorithm for searching and breaking down the problems into more solvable chunks?
Yeah, I think a lot about that has changed over my life. Like
Okay.
earlier when I started like doing research, a lot of it was reading. Like I don't know the field at all, and there's so many smart people who have already contributed so many good ideas. Like it's very very important for me to develop the same intuition. And part of it is like reading the papers they have written, but part of it is also like talking to people. Why were you thinking of this when you like decided to do this? What problem were you trying to solve? So for early in my career, that was maybe the way I approached a lot of things. I think when I approach problems right now, I think earlier in my career, I was also attracted to ideas. I liked, oh, this idea is very beautiful. This idea is very nice. Oh, if this works, this is great. Now I'm motivated more by like, okay, I want to build this system. What is the thing that is blocking me from building this? And whatever the blocker is, I try to address this. And a lot of that identifying what problems even exist also still happens because I talk to my collaborators. They were working on a problem and they were like, oh, I couldn't like finish this because like there was this issue and I don't know how to solve this. So I like talk to people and like figure out those problems and like we go from there.
Interesting. Right. So that was your essentially journey up till from India. to all the way up till like working for
Yeah.
Google Gemini. So we have very beautiful audience here with us, and most of the people that that we have here are sitting here are essentially not people from tech background.
Mhm.
So I would want you to break the entire concept of how something like a chat GPT or a Gemini, basically how an LLM works.
Yeah.
So for example, if I'm prompting what is the capital of Punjab,
Yeah.
what goes in the background,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how does it gets to know whether I have to give the answer Chandigarh or something else, or
Yeah. Yeah.
what goes into the background.
That's a great question, and it's like one of the things I love explaining. Um, so almost all the chatbots today are powered by something called LLMs, which are large language models. And the reason why they're called that is the way we speak, like any language, not just English, like any language, there's patterns to it. Like the capital of Punjab is, and you have a fill in the blank, you're going to try and predict the word. Like it's not going to be like Delhi, it's going to be Chandigarh, right? So, and it's not going to be Washington, D.C. either. So, like, after every sentence, there's like a probability that some word is more probable than the other. And this is basically just how like large language models work. Now, language is extremely complicated, it's extremely beautiful as well. So, you cannot like make these rules by hand. You cannot like write down and say, oh, like after every sentence I'm going to make a rule for this, I'm going to try and like write down all the rules of all the language, but language will keep like defeating those rules, so you cannot like do that. So what people found out at some point was that if I just have these like really large computers, basically GPUs and TPUs, and if I collect a lot of data, like all sentences from all for the last 20, 25 years, internet has existed. Every single one of us have read a web page. We have written text online, and like we're still writing text and generating text online. If you collect all of that data, that is more data than we can ever speak or see in our lifetimes. And if you collect all that data, it's terabytes and terabytes of data, you put it and you process all of the data, you teach your models. Now, there's a technique in deep learning where you try to like teach these patterns to the model itself.
Okay.
And it's going to learn all these facts about everything, like how many states are in India. And like some of these state facts would also conflict over time because the number of states in India have like changed over the course of years. Take all this text and like teach the model. You're going to predict the next word. That's it. You're going to try and predict the next word in every sentence. And you're going to try the best to do that. If you just teach it with that, you get something which becomes the chatbots that everybody interacts with. And this is a very remarkable phenomena. This was not obvious like even 5 years ago. Nobody like saw like this would be the main thing that like drives artificial intelligence to what it is today. And yeah, there's a lot more that goes on, but I think like at a high level, the models are just trying to predict what you and I are going to say, and that's
So if I have to put it in very simple terms, it's essentially the model predicts that after these four
yeah.
words, what is the fifth word gonna be?
Yes. And after the fifth word, what is the sixth word going to be? And it's
Alright.
going to keep predicting those. And it has read every single book that has ever been written.
Okay. So getting back onto the
Yeah.
original question, what is the capital of Punjab?
Yeah.
Now this sentence doesn't have anything more in context than the sentence
Yes.
itself. So how does it get to know whether we are talking about the Pakistan's Punjab or the Punjab on the Indian side? So how does
It
it?
doesn't. That's a good question,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Like it doesn't know that. And like
Exactly.
that is why like the answer could be like any of it could be either Chandigarh or it could be like the capital there. So like it could be any of those things, right? And like there's even more confusion because like what if you're asking about the capital in like 1920s, like or something?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
right? Like I mean, if you do not specify. So part of it is also like understanding the user. And this is where like if I am asking and I'm like sitting here in Amritsar, and if I just say like what is the capital of Punjab,
So there's a larger probability that I'm talking about the Indian
Punjab.
Okay.
Yes. Right. So
Interesting.
like, and you also can like, this is not just like, this is okay, maybe based on location you could understand, but you talk to these models, they like develop history about, they know you like, oh, like maybe I talked about like some medical history I had, and now I'm like, I've maybe like even said in the past that, oh, like I like vegetarian food, for example, or something, and like over time like it learns about you as well. So it develops this history about you. This is not a solved problem. We are still solving this problem, but a lot of how the models like think about what you're talking about, and they're understanding you, and like they're using other contextual cues to understand that.
And it has really improved over the period of time. I remember when I started using GPT 3.5,
Yeah.
it would half of the time get the wrong answers.
Yeah.
And then 4 was better. And then O1 came in, it was better. O3 was very good at coding. And finally, 5 came in. And then around 15, 20 days back, I shifted to Gemini and I canceled GPT subscription recently because Gemini, I personally feel is better. But I somewhere feel that the problem of hallucination still persists. Like, to be more specific, like while we were designing the poster for this very event, so due to some reason it ended up substituting the date as 21st September instead of 21st December. And then, I don't know how it went through it, but we didn't even cross check it. And, it just got posted and then we had to delete it manually and we sent in the new post. So the problem of hallucination still persists.
Yeah.
Even though the growth has been phenomenal, but
Yeah.
so what's the main reason why it is still persisting?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I also don't like, they people have different theories about it, so I don't want to like, I'll just give my perspective here. Um, we talked about like how these models are trained on a variety of data, and some of the data will be conflicting, right? Like some of the data is not going to like agree like with each other. Like even like temperature in Amritsar on this date is like, you'll get like a lot of conflicting data for things like these. So sometimes the model will struggle to like understand the context in which you want to generate this answer, and it will hallucinate. I think the other thing which is missing, and like I can talk a little bit about this, is like sometimes we don't, the models are, the goal for these models is to help the user. But even these models sometimes do not know what the answer is. And like maybe in your case, like when you were making this poster, it should have just maybe like asked what date to put in or something of that form. It should have collaborated more with you instead of just trying to like finish the job you're doing. And that's maybe like one aspect of our training which is missing, is that we train these models to make it as helpful and as assistive to the human as possible, but sometimes you need to ask them questions, right? Sometimes you need to like understand, oh, what do you want me to do exactly? And that's where I think like some of our gaps are. So we
So
might,
again, like putting in more simpler terms, it's like you ask a student what's the answer for this question, and he hasn't read the textbook about that
yeah,
particular topic. So उसको जो पता है उसके according guess करने का कोशिश करता है. Is that what exactly
exactly, yeah,
hallucination
exactly.
is?
He's
Yeah.
not, he's not like, doesn't even like know exactly what the question is.
But he still somehow tries to guess it कि यही
कुछ
होगा,
तो कुछ तो कर दो, कुछ तो मार्क्स
yeah,
मिल जाएंगे,
right,
right?
right,
तो
right,
ऐसे,
interesting. But obviously, over the period of time, the amount of hallucination which LLMs generally undergo has reduced substantially. It has reduced substantially.
and it will go down even more. Like every year we will, every few weeks we improve these models. So like this will improve a lot over the next year.
I have my own research in linguistics, so I basically teach students for GRE, so that requires vocabulary and everything. So I've done a lot of research in how students memorize the words and how this is done. And I've been using LLMs for almost more than 2.5 years now. Almost ever since they came in, I've been using them. So earlier, when we would give those tough critical reasoning GRE questions to the model,
Yeah.
it was not really very better than guessing the
Yeah.
answer, and then it would come up with some kind of theory that why option A is correct or why option B is wrong. But over the period of time, they have become very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it is ChatGPT 5.2, which is the recent
Latest one,
version,
yeah.
or it is Gemini 3,
Yeah.
right? The answers are 99.9% accurate.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
99.9% accurate. They are hardly ever wrong. So I think over the period of time, hallucinations have
Yeah.
gone down, right?
And I think it's gonna get very interesting that like these models, like I find them to be like smarter than me in most of the cases.
Yeah.
And like this like opens up like a very interesting like era where like any question I like want to ask, usually you would find some human, मुझे ये expert चाहिए, I
Right,
want to
right,
talk to this person, but like
right.
this, now I have like this expert in my pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and I can like
And
always ask.
it is actually beating experts.
Yeah,
So I've been teaching GRE to students for more than 10 years now.
yeah,
And even after 10 years of teaching experience, my accuracy in critical raising questions around 97,
yeah,
98%. These things are getting 99.9.
yeah, yeah,
So these
it,
are essentially beating even the
yeah,
experts.
exactly right.
So is it safe to conclude that the text problem has more or less been solved? That when it comes to models, they have more or less solved the problem of creating new text out of the existing knowledge base.
Um, I would not say that.
Mm.
I think we have gotten very, very good at it. We haven't solved everything yet. So you talked about coding. I think one day the hope is that everybody can program, everybody can write code, and they don't need like specialized programmers, or like you didn't need, if anybody wants to, they can just like build a website for themselves and like customize it. And like we're still like a little bit away from it. So yeah.
Yeah, vibe coding is becoming the trend these
Yeah.
days, but uh, on the practical note, I would always say I would still say that uh, we are still away from practically deployable
Yeah.
code. So
Yeah.
the
It is.
security loopholes and everything. So
Yeah.
we are still practically away from
We
a
should
deployable code.
we do still have work to do, and I think like we will be making a lot more progress in that.
But as far as journal English is concerned, text is
That is
concerned,
very, very good now.
that is more or less solved. More or
Yes.
less solved.
Yeah.
So what are the other frontier areas where
Yeah.
AI is evolving apart from text and English and coding? What are the other frontier areas where AI is evolving?
So I think like it's gonna start. I don't know, like everybody browses social media and sees a lot of videos. Like I think a lot of the videos are already AI generated, but you can still tell like when they're fake versus when
Yeah,
they're real.
yeah. So
So I
the
think that
hands are a little jittery.
yeah,
Something is off, right?
or there's one sometimes you'll see like the physics or like something feels very fake. Like sometimes like the human will just pass through the door which doesn't feel real. So there's like a lot of like these problems which we want to solve over the next few years, maybe the next year as well. I think video models are going to get a lot better. And I think this year was the first year where images became extremely good to the point where I can no longer tell which image is real, which image is fake, and it has gotten extremely good. So I'm hoping like in the next year or two we're gonna get, and the goal is to like we're gonna make 5-second videos extremely realistic. The goal is to make 30-second videos really realistic, and over the course like hopefully everybody can make a production grade movie in their home. So yeah, that's the plan.
But then that also raises a philosophical question. Does everyone need to do that?
I guess like our goal is to like empower people.
Empower the people.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think we have seen over the history, like the more we empower people, the better. Like think about music. Like music used to be something which only very few people could make. And now like all these digital um, tools have enabled so many more people to make music. And like the music has gotten better, it has like higher quality, and like everybody can do that now. Everybody can record music at home as well. So our goal is to make technology more accessible to everyone.
Right, right. So getting back onto the images and specifically the nano banana
Yeah.
that Google has come up with. I think it has solved 99.9% use cases of generating photo, at least for me.
Yeah.
So images, I think, is solved. Video, yes, VO3 is great,
Yeah.
but still, as you mentioned, the physics is sometimes not right,
Yeah.
or it seems to defy logic. So, but again, I think that's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll be taking the last question now. So after that, I'll be handing it over to Rajvinder sir. So I'll be taking the last question now. That if I am a student and I'm sitting here in Amritsar, maybe I'm in my class 12, or maybe I'm in my bachelor's of technology, first year, second year, third year, whatever. I want to explore the domain of AI. I want to make a career in it. What's the trajectory that you would recommend me?
Yeah. I think like studying computer science, especially as a student, is like extremely helpful. I think it's still the best way to like start doing AI. Especially like if you're coming from like if you're in 12th grade and you're considering options. But I think the most important thing you can do is start using these tools. They're already so accessible. Start playing with them, start understanding. Like you can build websites right now by writing one line in Gemini and it will build a website for you. Try deploying it, try understanding it, like how does it work, how can I customize it, and try like understanding it a lot. So play with all the tools which exist. This is all accessible, and like if you want to build AI, like you have to understand it as well. So get your technicals right, study CS, but also start playing with these tools.
Hmm. So going forward, what are the key skills that you feel will be very relevant even in 5 years' time?
um, I think at the end of the day, when we build technology, we are still trying to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of like the process of building the technology is going to get a lot easier.
Hmm.
Like as I said, like websites is a very easy example. Very easy to build today. It used to be a lot of work. So you needed to pay somebody like a lot of money to build a website and host it for
Right,
you.
right, right.
Now you can just deploy it. So I think if you're still building technology in the future, you need to understand people and what they want. And I think that is never going to go away.
Interesting. So with this, I'd like to end this discussion. Hopefully, the audience did get to learn some basics of AI and where
Yeah.
the future is headed. So now I'd like to invite Rajwinder sir, and he'll discuss about the social consequences of artificial intelligence and the latest advances in LLMs.
Hi, Archit.
Hi.
So, very technical questions you have with the Rishabh. So, I'm going to discuss some social consequences right now. So, what do you think? AI will widen the gap between the reasons who use technology and the reasons who do not use technology?
Um, I think I think it's very important that like yeah, I think people who use AI will have a much better time than people who do not. But AI is also one of the technologies which makes it easy. It's not a hard technology. The goal of AI is to be easy to use.
Okay.
So anybody like who can use a phone can use AI. So if you want to learn something today, if you want to build something, it makes it easier. So like one of the problems in society is like mobility requires you to like build something and like move up. I think AI can actually make that easier as well.
And Archit, where you think a state like Punjab,
Yeah.
where the infrastructure is very backward right now in terms of education, what do you see in terms of Punjab, where it stands right now?
I think look, I mean, AI cannot solve all the problems. But in terms of like if for example education is important. Education, if we do not, and part of the problem of like educating people around us is that like there's no high quality like teachers or high quality textbooks and resources available. So AI today, first of all, it can talk in any language. Hindi, Punjabi, English. It can like teach you any subject in any of those languages. And that allows like very high quality education, and that's like restricted to maybe like some schools. It broadens the access to that. So
Okay, so was any message you want to give for the people of this region or to region of Punjab,
um,
where the mostly the movement is toward the Canada?
um, I think um, if you look at like trajectory, जिथे Canada ਜਾਂਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਤੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, um, it's more important that you are investing in. I think many people are fascinated. They want to go to Canada, but personally, I feel that you want to like invest time in like improving like your abilities. Like Canada जाकर suddenly you're not gonna change. तुसी तो वही रहना है ना.
Right.
ते and of course like environment and कुछ चीजें उत्थे better है, but things are also improving here. So like you should like try to figure out के तुम्हारे लिए की best and what do you want to achieve as well.
Right.
And yeah, so I think since we're talking about AI as well, I think the AI can also help you like make a lot of these things.
Fine, that's a very sensible answer. So, what kind of jobs do you think AI will eliminate,
Yeah.
and what type of jobs that will grow with AI?
Yeah, so this is like a very good question. I have a very like interesting statistic for this. So so in the US and like in maybe in China and like a few other countries, they are testing like self-driving cars now. Cars just which do not require driver, जिन्हें driver दी लोड़ नहीं है, खुद ही चल रही है. They it's a very interesting technology because you would think, why do we need drivers anymore, right? And Uber and Lyft, you would expect would start going down. But surprisingly, जब वो technology that was introduced, the number of people who started using Uber and Lyft also grew. So it's very interesting, like the technology, like which you think is going to replace people, actually sometimes like allows it to grow even more. And it's very counterintuitive. So, मैं personally, I don't consider myself an expert who will be able to predict that this will replace this. There are certain jobs which I think like are at risk. A lot of jobs which are related to like call centers and like exporting like a lot of IT jobs. I think they are at risk, but at the same time, um, creative jobs are going to get a lot easier. Design and marketing and so on, they're going to get a lot easier. And software engineer and computer science, the jobs, I think they will actually increase as well.
Okay, fine. So, any message you want to give? Actually, lot of non-technical backgrounds people are sitting in as an audience. So, any message you want to give how they can improve their self?
Just ask AI at this point, मैं की advice देंगे.
Okay, so not taking much of the time. Last question is, because of AI, deepfakes and scams, lot of misinformation is rising. So, what should be the role of technical companies in this regard?
Yeah. I think if you look at this is like a very important question because I was just saying earlier that images पता ही नहीं लगती if they're real or if they're fake. तो कोई भी image बना के Trump Putin में मिलता पे you can make anything at this point. So like I think it is important for companies that they deploy this technology responsibly. So for example, Google ने जब Nano Banana deploy किया, it's a very like powerful image creation and editing tool. They also allow you to check कि कोई image जो तुसी internet पे देखी है whether this was created using this tool or not. तो तुसी check कर सकते हो कि if it's real or fake. So I find that as a very responsible way to like deploy technology, and yeah, I think in the coming years, like maybe a counterintuitive cheese. Okay, we used to believe everything on internet. Um, now that we'll know कि the content ये image fake हो सकती है ये video fake हो सकती है information maybe अपा real life conversations में ज़्यादा value करेंगे.
That's great. So that is the end of the session. So I think audience are listening very silently this time, and everyone is. So there are some questions from the audience also. We will take some those questions from them also.
Hi Archit, great to have you here. First of all, so like many of us are founders here and entrepreneurs, and I just wanted to understand. We feel that pressure with all this AI wave. We should drive this wave as well, but a lot of us lack clarity. On what's coming next, or what should we wait as of now to just see and analyze what's happening, and what should we just start implementing and start using it for our businesses. So, do you feel, I mean, you could suggest something that these are certain things you should start using right now, and these are certain things like maybe automations or something like that, that we should just wait for a while, it would get better, and then start implementing in our businesses.
Yeah.
So, something
Yeah.
that sort inside, if you could do.
I think like text processing where you just want to like write text again or something. I think that is very very good. I don't think it will get a lot better. But things like OCR, like when you want to take an image, you want to digitize an image, those things are already really good. I think you can like use those things. Things where like you can want to design a website. I think those are very good. Things where you want to like जैसे trading maybe you want to automate उस type की I think that things will keep improving अभी they're not there yet. Things where you have to operate like spreadsheets and making presentations and so on. I think those things will keep getting better. So I think it will take some time, but yeah.
So, a lot of things which involve connecting a third party thing with the main AI model, we should kind of wait. It will get better.
It will get a lot better.
Something that is within the AI right now is almost next to perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
My question is that I have a portal which was hacked by somebody a few months back, right? So there was some virus which was put in the. So we had to go back to the server and then get the things done sorted by the technical team because I'm an architect, so I don't know exactly. But right now, last week I tried doing the coding on ChatGPT. Right now, I have not used Gemini 3, but he is suggesting to going towards.
They're both really good. Yeah.
So in that thing, I tried creating the stuff. So coding करके उसको एक हमने prototype type बनाया. But मेरा question ये है कि जो security और privacy के जो matters हैं, can AI actually solve those things in the code itself and not because there are plugins which we need to use in for the security thing, right? So majorly जो hack होता है वो plugin होता है. अगर आप कोई उसकी जो हमारा थीम होता है if we have custom made those themes or if you have bought those themes तो उसमें इतना मैटर नहीं आता है but the plugin which are being used are getting hacked. So जो हम कोड करेंगे AI के थ्रू तो क्या उसमें security issues and all can those be resolved?
I think, yeah, like I think this is a good question, and this is one of those things. Security is one of those things. Jither more people who are involved, the better it gets. Because vulnerabilities हर part of the code में हो सकती है. So one of the things which AI is useful for, it's not perfect, is it can look at your code, it can look at which plugins, and it can look which ones are vulnerable. Will it write perfect code right now which will never get hacked? I'm not giving a guarantee कि पक्का है होएगा. But I think over time, like this is one of those domains which I don't say like it will be automated completely or it is ready for like कि बिल्कुल 0 to 1 अभी जा सकते हो. This is one of those places where an expert is still very useful. They can like take your code and like deploy, but they can move much faster, and they can like, I'm sorry, जब थोड़ा hack होया सी, but some of these things can be avoided in the future as well, where AI can like already look, a plugin looks very suspicious. You should probably not use this and use something else, and it can look for vulnerabilities.
That means we can actually get the audit done through the AI
Yeah.
and get the thing sorted.
Yeah, it can help you create. It can help check whether what has been created, does it have vulnerabilities or not.
I'm from education field and teaching students of BCA, BCID, artificial intelligence, and so on. We have introduced languages like Python, Java, PHP, and so on. So my question is, are these languages are enough for these students to pursue their career in AI?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think Python is probably the most important one. And I think one of the nice things about programming languages is that once you start learning one of them, like the other ones get easier. So I really think like those are
There
enough.
is no need to add some other language.
I mostly write code in Python. So that's all I've mainly used. Yeah.
Recently I was अपने prompt को improve कर रहा था मैं, ठीक है, एक image you can say improve कर रहा था उसको मैं. After like 15 prompts मुझे Gemini कहता है कि right now too many images are being processed, so I can't do it right now, कुछ इस टाइप का उसने मुझे reply दिया. मैं कहा ठीक है, 5 मिनट बाद फिर सेम रिप्लाई, मतलब लाइक ऐसे ही रिप्लाई थे उसके. तो मुझे दिमाग में आया कि ये फ्रस्ट्रेट तो नहीं हो गया मुझसे. मुझे लगा कि कुछ मतलब वो भी मुझे ऐसा फील हो रहा था कि वो भी एज अ ह्यूमन मुझे कोई क्वेश्चन पूछ ले 3-4 एक ही सवाल तो बंदा हो जाता है ऐसा. तो कुछ ऐसा होता है सही में.
15 बारी बोलोगे तो फिर तो मतलब थोड़ा वो भी फ्रस्ट्रेट हो सकता है. और
But he's giving the same reply, and you know what? In the new chat, I asked him the same question. वहाँ पे उसने reply देना शुरू कर दिया.
अच्छा. I think it is possible कि जब तुसी 15 बारी, I personally जब when I use this I try to like 15 बारी same करने the जाए, I'd retry something क्योंकि it gets, the response you get is also better. Sometimes over the course of interactions confuse हो जाता है, model भी confuse होता है कि पहले ये बोल रहे सी फिर अब ये बोल रहे. It gets confused कि मतलब what exactly is the instruction. So I personally, I try अगर 3-4 बारी में I don't get the response I want, I usually just switch to a new chat.
Humor aside, this is a very, very, very serious question. The kind of investments the Chinese Communist Party has been making in the domain of AI, and the kind of work they are doing in terms of robotics, and the kind of energy infrastructure they are building, because AI is inherently draining on the energy resources of any nation. Where do we see the future of the tech race between the Communist Party of China and the free world? Like, where does US stand vis-a-vis China when it comes to competing with them on AI? Like, do you feel that private entities like OpenAI or Meta or perhaps Google would be able to handle the onslaught of a state-sponsored AI campaign against?
I think, yeah, this is a great question. So, China definitely has some advantages. They are a manufacturing powerhouse. They have very, very strong robotics programs. Like we like nobody does manufacturing better than China. And it's not just that they have cheap labor; they're just technically more competent. Um, I think in terms of where like innovation and a lot of the technology is developed, it's still in like a lot of it is in the Western like US and like UK maybe. Um, and so far, like it actually seems like, I know like there was a lot of hype around a lot of Chinese models. They're still doing a very, very good job. They have a lot of technical talent as well. But I think like US is still ahead. And yeah, like I think at the end of the day, this is like a technology. Many countries will develop this technology. It's important that like people who are responsible actors who use it for making the lives better for everyone make it first. So yeah. That's what I believe.